after watching a second half against Ole Miss that looked like old school, joyless murder ball, tough, gritty, aggressive Bama football. Your Crimson Tide getting the 24-10 win over the Rebels. We're rocking and rolling with you right now on what is the hottest show in these streets. Talking your Bama football news in my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Happy to have you all here checking out the show. We bring you the show from the magic city of Birmingham. We stream this to you through YouTube. Speak of the channel, you know what time it is. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Tap that subscribe button right now. You get every friend, every family member, every diehard Bama fan, casual Bama fan, consumer of Tide football to subscribe as well, because if you're feeling what we're putting down, they will also. Also, share the show to everybody that you know on all platforms. Give us that thumbs up. Hit that like button, like the show, make this your place, your network, platform, channel, and space to talk Bama. We appreciate that. The daily Super Chat go $100. Daily Super Chat go $100 right there. We appreciate the love from you. We want to hear from you guys tonight. Line us up in the phone lines. You can do this by calling 205-448-1358. The number to call in to let your voice be made known on the show, 205-448-1358. One more time, 205-448-1358. We got a lot to get into, but without further ado, John Ivory, let's start off with this right here, the Bama-Ole Miss game, and in particular, Jalen Milroe, starting quarterback, redshirt sophomore from Katy, Texas, grew up in this matchup against the Rebels. I mean, did some things in this game that provided energy, enthusiasm, leadership. He ignited the crowd, you guys inside Bryant-Denny, and those of you watching from home. Jalen Milroe grew up. Big thing for him, opportunity for him going up against Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. And for somebody of whom, yes, he had the turnovers, the interceptions against Texas. Yes, he was benched in the South Florida game. Shouldn't have been benched, but that happened. But the way he responded against Ole Miss, that's a leader. The way he responded against Ole Miss, that's a guy you can get behind. The way he responded against Ole Miss, that is what you want to see your quarterback do, your leader do, your guy do. And he did that. He had one bad play. The whole game, Jalen Milroe, one bad play. Saban addressed it. Saban expressed to the media what that was. But aside from one bad play, Milroe 16 for 20 passing. That's 80% for you mathematicians out there. Pretty accurate to me. 225 yards. Did throw a touchdown pass. Managed the game well. He did. And that's what Alabama fans, that's what you want out of the quarterback of this year's team. Manage the game. Keep the team in position to win. Don't make several mistakes that cause you to lose the game. Jalen Milroe managed it perfectly against Ole Miss. I like the way how he was able to flush out the turnover, get it out of his mind, move forward, progress forward, make plays. And another big thing I enjoy from seeing him do is being able to make plays from the pocket. Milroe took a lot of shots there against Ole Miss. Took some hits, took some shots there, but he stayed in the pocket, stared down the barrel of the pressure, delivered balls on time and on target, including a 33-yard touchdown pass to true freshman Jalen Hale, giving him a chance to leap up in the air, adjust the ball, attack the ball, take the ball away from the DB in the end zone. Big job there from Milroe. And even on one of the shots that he took, he was able to pop up off the ground a few moments later, really invigorated, ignited, brought excitement to the crowd. So we watched him grow up. We watched him manage the game, make plays, grow up, and it seems like Tommy Rees is even starting to find himself as a play caller for Milroe. Tommy Rees dialed up some things Milroe felt comfortable with, was good about doing. We saw early on in the game a lot of those design runs, a lot of those quarterback option type plays, and then you go from there to mixing in different passes to tight ends, mixing in different passes to wide receivers while taking some deep shots there. So Tommy Rees becoming more into sort of his own there, taking him a while to kind of get the gist, the understanding of calling plays for Milroe. He feels comfortable with working some different things in. So it was growth from Tommy Rees along with Milroe growing up there, as a quarterback in his own right. And so for Coach Saban, he took joy out of watching Milroe handle the adversity. You go out there, get your bell rung a couple of times, but you're able to hang in there. You make plays. You maneuver within the pocket. You manipulate the pocket. You step up. You take some shots, but you keep your team in position to win a football game. And that was big there for Milroe, especially after, some mistakes against Texas, especially after not playing against South Florida, but still showing the leadership to cheer on your teammates. And then when Saban has to trust in you all week, saying, you're the guy. We're going with you. We're rocking with you. We're solid on you. You are our quarterback. And he said this in front of the Alabama media. He said this in front of a national media. Saban said this in every interview he did leading up to the Ole Miss game. So to watch Milroe prove his coach right, back up his coach by having a strong performance, by having a solid performance, by having one where he managed the game well, and you come out of there beating Lane Kiffin again in a situation where, Lane really, truly thought, I got Saban this time. I have him this time. He's not ranked in the top 10. They don't know what their identity is. So much turnover on the coaching staff. I got Saban this time. And for Jalen Milroe to say, not so fast, you don't have him, because I'm going to come out here and play good football and play strong football and manage the game and keep the Crimson Tide in position to win. Big ups there to Jalen Milroe, growing up right in front of us in a marquee SEC matchup to open the slate there against Ole Miss. But we take our first break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. We're just getting started. Upon our return, we go on the phone lines, folks. We grab your calls, your thoughts, your conversations. People, line us up. We want to hear from you right after this.
Chris Rogers, 2009 national champion. You are listening to the baddest, when I say the baddest, sports show in the state of Alabama. In my own words, yours truly, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Don't touch that dial.
9 players have teamed up and released the Alabama Team Paper, which is a video yearbook they put out for sale direct to fans. Now, for the first time, small dollar purchases from the fans can support the players as a group as well as a great cause, because $1 of every subscription payment is donated to the Boys and Girls Club of America. Be a 5-star fan base and support your team and a great cause with Team Paper. Check it out at teampaper.com/Alabama.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
All right, people, we're back rocking and rolling to the action from the break on what is the number one form, number one ticket for your Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of TDA Bama, fresh off 24-10 victory over Ole Miss to open SEC play, and the second half looked like vintage dominant Bama. And for Coach Saban, the idea, can we keep this type of energy flowing throughout the remainder of the season? We got some super chats to get to, so how about the president? Wayland drops in with the $4.99, and the super chats dropping the love in. And then we got Kenny Heathcock with the $5 donation. Thanks to Kenny Heathcock right there. And then Mechanic came back. Oh my gosh! Mechanic is back in here with $10.87. And the super chat's right there. Daily super chat go $100. Daily super chat go $100 right there. We appreciate all of you. But before we go to the phone lines to take your calls, we got to show some love to our sponsors. This show brought to you by Factor Fresh. Factor. So guess what, people? Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up fast with flavorful and nutritious ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track reaching your goals. What does Factor offer? They offer delicious flavor-packed options on the menu each week to fit a variety of lifestyles, from keto to calorie smart, vegan plus, veggie, and protein plus. Prepared by chefs and approved by chefs there. You round out your meal and replenish your snack supply with an assortment of 45 plus add-ons, including breakfast items like our delicious apple cinnamon pancakes, bacon and cheddar egg bites, and potato, bacon, and egg breakfast skillet. You head to factormeals.com. That's factormeals.com/TDA50 and use the code TDA50 to get 50% off. That's code TDA50 at factormeals.com to get that 50% off. Factor Fresh, factormeals.com. Check those guys out. Absolutely a tremendous investment. But we go to the phone lines to grab your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. Number to call in, 205-448-1358. We grab this call. You're live on the show. What's happening, how we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, Stephen, Brian from Richmond. Hope all is well on this Monday, my friend.
Doing great, Brian. How you feeling, man?
You know, it was nice to shut all the pundits up that were picking Ole Miss almost across the board to beat Bama at home. It was great. Although we had a shaky first half, it was great to see us snap back into it and play really vintage Bama defense that just kind of led that charge. That was impressive. You know, maybe one statement, two questions for you. I was sad to see Deontay obviously go out with the injury, but Jihad Tresman and Kendrick Blackshire just went headhunting. That made not only me feel comfortable, but
that was great.
Those guys were hungry to just start laying people out. Love to see that.
And Brian, that was huge, and that shows you the depth of the Alabama inside linebacker room, and not just Campbell, Marshall, and Blackshire, but even Justin Jefferson. getting out there on special teams and that linebacker doing some things himself. So as much as we want to see Lawson go against Mississippi State this week, he does have an ankle sprain. Coach Saban listed him as day-to-day. We'll see how he goes about practice this week. But knowing Dingall, if he can breathe, he's going to play this weekend. But it's good to see the depth there at that inside linebacker position show itself in the event that Dingall can't go.
100%, and with those high ankle sprains, I hope he doesn't have to get a tightrope or something, and he can bounce back and be good to go. I got two things that it actually made me feel better. In the second half, watching the offensive line settle down, get locked in, you see how quickly everything plays off of that. The running game picked up. Jay started to hit another gear. Jalen started to calm down when he had some time to really survey where to throw the ball, although we're going to have some mistakes here and there. That's fine. But when that offensive line started to lock in and have the protection, everything started to click. So my question to you is, what do we need to do to really get that kind of moving forward to the next gear? Is it Seth just figuring out how to snap the ball? Do we need to make a change there? Is there other personnel that we really need to slot in? And the second question or thought I'd love to hear from you is, what do we have to do to get the tight end play going? I know Jalen's weakness to an extent is that short to intermediate game. But the tight end play, and you saw what little we had in the game, that really just opens up a completely different dimension when you have big bodies that can even jump off a block and pick up 5, 6, 8, 10 yards. We've got the personnel to do it. It just feels, even with an offensive line that's in transition maybe, it opens up so many more opportunities to let the pressure gauge down a little bit and get some movement and throw wrinkles at the other team's defense to really kind of get the third dimension working. So I'll hang up and listen to you, but love the show as always. Good to speak with you.
Absolutely. Brian from Richmond calling in right there. So about the offensive line, that group is starting to find itself. We saw that more so in the second half against Ole Miss. Jace McClellan, his first 100-yard performance of the season. I think I would like to see more of Terrence Ferguson and Elijah Pritchett involved there in that offensive line rotation. I feel like when T. Ferg is at that guard spot, the line kind of settles in more. As good, as talented as Caden Proctor is, and he's going to be good once he gets everything kind of his sea legs under him. I would like to see a bit more of Elijah Pritchett, what he can bring and provide. Now, in terms of tight end, this is where Tommy Reese has got to dial some stuff up, where have a tight end in the middle of the field, in the middle of the formation. Have a tight end off in the flat. Have like a wheel route for the tight end. Just different calls to get that separation there for that tight end, because that big body in the middle of the field or anywhere on the field presents that sort of calmness where Jalen Milroe is concerned. So that goes back to Tommy Reese. You got to dial some stuff up to get that position more so involved. But we take this call here. You're live on the show. What's happening? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, Stephen. It's Clark again, Georgia.
Clark, how you feeling, man?
Well, I'd say I'm feeling a little bit better this week. I think that in that second half, there were a lot of things that it seemed like the team woke up to. I don't know. I think, we heard about the team meeting last week, but when you see something that is outstanding of a difference between what they've done the first 3 games and just the second half alone, they're a different team moving forward if they can in any way execute to that kind of a level. And they can do better than what they did in the second half. What you got to say about it?
I think so, Clark. I think they could do way better than what they did in the second half against Ole Miss. But at least in that second half, Clark, we did see, okay, some old Bama is still there. some old, vintage, dominant, aggressive Bama is still there. It's still there. Can Bama pull more of that out each and every week and on both sides of the ball? That's the main thing. If Saban can tap into that, and if the players can tap into that for themselves every single week from here on out, then this is a team that can get to Atlanta and play for an SEC championship. This is a team that can get to the college football playoff and compete for a national title. It's just every week tapping more of that vintage Bama out because we saw it. It's still there.
Well, and I'll say this too. I think you've seen it over social media and kind of through media speculation of how the state of Alabama football actually is right now. And I think this season may be a pretty good metric. You got a quarterback situation that it might be questionable, but there may be questionable plays that take place with Jalen Milroe the entire year. But at the same time, you've got electricity flowing through that man's veins. And, you know, if he can find a way to find an opening in the offensive line, well, there aren't many quarterbacks in the country that can take it off for 80 yards and not get caught sometimes. You know, I mean, he's the real deal as it comes to an athlete. And I think that if Reese, like you said, can just put it together and do what compliments him, don't worry about hyping up, you know, the crowd with all these big plays. We're going to get our 4 or 5, maybe even a few more, if we just stick to beating the heck out of these guys and making their ass quit, if we're being honest, and going back to the 09 mentality if we're being, okay, let me not get started too much. It's just Monday.
I mean, Clark, a good point by you. And like I mentioned, that second half against Ole Miss, we saw some old vintage 09, 2011, 2012 Bama. We saw pieces of that in the second half. So all the fan base wants is, can Bama tap into that more and more and more each week as Tommy Rees continues to find himself as the play caller offensively, as Kevin Steele or Travaris Robinson or whoever's calling this defense continues to tap into that more and more? That's all the fans want.
Well, I know it's still early, but as we start easing towards October and some of the rivals that are up ahead, it's time to make things right, and I'll leave it at that. I may talk to you later on in the week, Stephen. Have a good rest of the show.
Appreciate Clark calling in from Georgia. We grabbed this call here. You're live on the show. What's happening? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, Stephen. This is Robert from Mobile.
Robert, what's going on, man?
Yeah, it was the tale of two halves that Saturday. You know, the first half, it was we weren't sure where this team was going to go. And then the second half, I mean, it was like you said, vintage old Alabama again. Yeah, it was definitely a thing of beauty, especially on defense. And the offensive line picked up, and the running game finally, James McClellan finally looked like the athlete we thought he was going to be this season with some decent blocking. Before the weekend prior was Roydell Williams looked good. So it looks like they're trying to get it together. Tommy Rees he's still a mystery with these questionable play callings, especially in the first half. But what I've been hearing is Nick Saban read him the riot act, and read him the riot act, and after that, it was okay. It was vintage Alabama football again. I hate it took that. You know, we're in the shotgun, and we're on first and goal in the shotgun.
I still do not understand why they did that.
Well, yeah, I think that one put Saban over the edge too. And Saban's commented on it, you know, how he didn't like the call either. I think I think that would have been a time when Saban would have had to call a timeout and get a little more hands-on with the offense. But, hey, man, you're not going to be in the shotgun with Jalen Milroe first and goal. It's hopefully that kind of play calling will be gone and we won't ever see it again. But, yeah, it's we finally saw where it looks like the team can – the second half team of Saturday, you have confidence in that team that they can go distance. and maybe even beat some of the best teams in college football. Although right now college football is so open, who knows who the best team is? It's that name, image, and likeness in the transfer portal has got college football almost as much parity as the NFL. So it's still there if we can make everything work together and get it going. We just have to be consistent, like you said. Hopefully, the offensive line will be consistent and the play calling will be consistent, and Milroe will limit the mistakes. The thing about his interceptions is when he throws them, they're really bad. That's not a correct reading of the defense. But that's what the play calling to get him plays where he don't have to, get caught like that into those kind of situations. You just keep it simple. We'll have to rely on the defense. Hopefully the defense can hold up, the offense isn't going to give you 40 points a game like they did over the last 3, 4, 5 years. And we may have to settle for grinding it out, to those 10-9 games like we did against LSU back in the day. Those type games. And we just have to keep our play calling where we can grind out games like that. More runs and, more running the quarterback and short throws. And your previous caller was spot on with the tight ends. That's Georgia, won the national championship throwing to the tight ends, like they did. Alabama can do the same thing. And our tight ends have shown that they can make some really athletic catches. Although all the receivers right now are really doing really good with catching the ball. I wish they were like that last year when we had Bryce. You guys are maybe 1 year too late. It'd be great if you'd done that last year with Bryce, then we could have really gone to town. But, oh well, we're doing a good job now, so that's good. But, yeah, it's a work in progress. But, we got a team next weekend we should beat handily. We just got to stop struggling against teams we should beat handily. That's what's getting us all nervous. If we got it going, then we'll beat these teams like we should handle it. That game Saturday reminded us of Georgia and 2015 when Alabama was in the same situation. Your quarterback bench comes back, and all that. Then here's the first big game from all that. Alabama's picked to lose, and all the pundits, and they came out and showed up. And that hit that Jalen Milroe took to deliver that touchdown, that's similar to that run that Coker made in the game against Georgia that just fired up the team. I'm thinking hopefully that'll be his moment the way it was for Jake Coker.
Absolutely. Appreciate Robert from Mobile there with the call on the show. I mean, Milroe stepped up. The team stepped up. And for me, it's just a continuation of tapping into that vintage Bama every single week that you can as the season continues. But we grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's happening? How we feeling? State your name. Where you calling from? You're live on the show, caller.
What's going on, Steven? It's Chad from Miami.
Hey, what's happening, man?
Not much, man. I haven't called in a while. Just had a few pointers I wanted to put out there from watching some of the film or some of the highlights from what happened this past Saturday and what's been happening for the last few weeks.
Go ahead.
So basically, man, the defense have been stepping up well. I like what they've been doing. They haven't been playing soft on like the last 2 or 3 years. But what I saw from the defense is the D-line actually stepped up for the first time this past weekend. They had a few sacks. I know we don't have great pass rushers on the D-line, but I think someone might have said it a week or two ago. If those guys can't pass rush, we need to start bringing some young guys in to get some pressure on the opposing offensive line and quarterback. But what I also been seeing is I'm not sure if you guys saw the few broken plays in the second half where we gave up third and fourth down conversions. I see that we tend to blitz the middle linebacker a lot or the inside linebacker. And I think that the middle linebacker should be either a spy or be on a delayed blitz because a lot of times I see Lawson or whoever's playing the middle, Trezor Marshall, they're always blitzing. It's an easy conversion because the middle of the field is open. So the opposing tight end runs free, or if not, they have a running back or a slot corner run across the middle, and it's an easy completion, and that's an easy move of the chains for the opposing offense. So I think we shouldn't blitz the middle linebacker that often. And then also when I see in the nickel and dime coverage, we tend to drop one of our pass rushers instead of dropping one of our defensive linemen and substituting our one of the defensive linemen to bring in the nickel or corner, because our defensive linemen, like I said, they're not great at pass rushing. So why would we take out one of our edge rushers or drop our edge rusher and leave the D lineman in when we can just bring another safety or corner in to play the nickel or dime? But overall, the defense played very well on Saturday, except for those few third and fourth down conversions they gave up in the second half. And then the offense, man, I'm not sure what Saban said to the offense on Saturday after the second half, but those guys changed. The offensive line started playing up to potential. They stopped acting soft, man. Like, those guys are like, what are they, over 350 or whatever? 3 guys on the offensive line is over 350. So they can out muscle most of any team, man. And then I see that a few guys aren't great at pass blocking. So I believe we just need to run the ball, man. That's the best thing to do. The only bad thing I would say about the offense, though, is Tommy Rees need to do some better play calling, especially with Milroe on the 1 yard line. I'm not sure why he was in shotgun. And also getting the tight ends involved. I believe the first caller said the tight ends definitely need to be involved, because they will open up the middle of the field, and that will help Milroe with his somewhat inefficiency with short to intermediate passes. And then my last thing is Milroe got to stop the turnovers, man. I know it was early in like the first half of the game or whatever, but Jermaine Burton was wide open. It was a high-low concept. He forced the ball to the end zone when Jermaine Burton was wide open in front of that wide receiver. So I believe he just needs to work on throwing the ball and also reading defenses better. But Jermaine Burton was wide open on that pass. I saw it from a couple different angles. But overall, the defense and the offense have been playing better since the Texas game, and I think it's going to be a grind this season, man. These guys, I'm happy to see they're doing better, and I see Kool-Aid and Dallas are probably first-round picks, probably going to be in the top 10, top 15. It's time they start playing like it, man.
Appreciate Chad calling in from Miami, giving his thoughts here on the show. We grabbed this call. You're live on the show. What's happening? How we feeling? State your name. Where you calling from?
Hey, Steven, this is Adam calling from Georgia. How you doing?
Doing good, Adam, and yourself?
I'm doing great. I just had one brief comment. I think this is Saban's potentially best year ever coaching. A lot of people say they want to see him screaming and breaking the headsets, but I think that he knows that these players lack confidence and have a lot to improve on, but he knows the talent is there. And he's being patient with them, and he's supporting them, and believes that they can improve. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. And I think he's adapting to this new generation of players. And I think ultimately that's going to pay off, and we're going to win the SEC. And I think he's going to be the coach of the year. What do you think?
Adam, I like that viewpoint that you brought. I like that thought, because Saban mentioned himself, he has to be more patient. He mentioned himself in the post-game presser, I have to be more patient. I have to be more understanding of our team and of our guys, because he gets it. This is a different generation of athlete. When you look at the NIL, when you look at the transfer portal, when you look at so many distractions now that today's athlete has, Saban has to speak in a different way. He has to maneuver now in a different way versus when he first got the Tuscaloosa in 2007. So you are correct about that. And I think Saban is starting to kind of hit that understanding of, I can talk to the team this way, but I can do it where not only do they understand me, but now they can see how they can have my back, so to speak. They know I got their back, but I can speak to them where they can now have my back.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Steven. Thanks, and roll Tide.
Appreciate Adam there calling in from Georgia. We grabbed this call. You're live on the show. What's happening? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, Steve, this is Michael from South Carolina. How you doing?
Doing great, Michael, and yourself?
Doing pretty good. I got 2 questions for you, buddy.
Go ahead.
Well, first off, before I ask that, did you see the Colorado-Oregon game?
Yes, I saw that, and Coach Prime got seriously humbled by Dan Lanning and the Ducks.
Yeah, it was bad. I was watching that whole time. It was a bad game. But I want your kind of take on how do you think the receivers played against Ole Miss? Because I think a lot of Jermaine Burton was stepping up really well. I did want to see a little more Kendrick Law, and Shaz Preston, and more of those guys. Jalen Hill. Do you think we'll be seeing more of those guys?
Okay, so the receivers, Jermaine Burton has stepped up. He stepped all the way up. And we saw some plays from Isaiah Bond. We did. We saw Kendrick Law make a couple of catches. I don't know what's happened to Ja'Cory Brooks. I know he had a blocked punt against Ole Miss, but I don't know what's happened to him in terms of the receiving aspect. I think Jalen Hale has come on strong. Saban has talked about it, how much he really likes him and what he brings. He was a 3-sport athlete coming from Longview High School in Texas, where he played basketball, baseball, and and ran track. Jalen Hale had 2 catches for 63 yards, including a 33-yard touchdown. So we're already seeing Alabama potentially having another true freshman that can be very special in this wide receiver room if he continues to grow and progress. So we're seeing Burton step up. We're seeing nice things from Bond. We're seeing Kendrick Law get a bit more involved in there. And now we're seeing, okay, Jalen Hale is something. He can really be something. Now, I would like to see more from Ja'Cory Brooks. I would like to see Shaz Preston get more so involved out there. But what this does say, Michael, is Alabama's got a deep receiver room. It's just on any given week, on any given game, who will be the group of receivers that want that football more.
And then the last two-part question. One, what's your take on how well the defense has played against Ole Miss? And then also, how do you feel the offensive line played?
Well, the defense, I think with the exception of the second half against Texas, and that wasn't the defense's fault. The defense held Texas to 13 points for much of that game. The offense just couldn't get itself going, and the defense unfortunately got gassed at the end. So you can't put down the defense, but with the exception of the second half against Texas, this defense has been lights out. The last 2 weeks, you give up 3 points to South Florida, and then you hold an Ole Miss team to 10 points. You can't ask for anything better than that. The defense is playing extremely well right now. The offensive line, it's starting to find itself. Second half against Ole Miss looked a lot better. They blocked a lot better in the run game. They blocked a lot better in pass protection. Jace McClellan started to take off his first 100-yard game. They provided Jalen Milroe with a good pocket to throw from. I think the O-line is starting to find itself, but the defense has been playing lights-out football.
Thank you, Steve. Have a great day.
Appreciate Michael from South Carolina calling in right there. We got some super chats to get to, so let's start off the party with Brian Watson. Let's go! Brian Watson with that $4.99, dropping it in there. And then how about my man Dale B? Dale B, a $20 donation, spreading the love. And then Adam drops in $55. Adam with that $55 donation. Put it in there. That daily super chat goal. $100 has been met. Appreciate all of you, the Bama fans, for what you do. Gotta get this topic here, this call topic, to one Tyler Booker, Alabama offensive guard, sophomore, who made SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week. Kudos to Tyler Booker in that regard. He did not allow a sack of Jalen Milroe. I think he had a team-high 8 knockdown blocks. Helped Jace McClellan, 17 carries, 105 yards, 1 touchdown. Big performance there from one Tyler Booker, SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week. We take our break here on the show. When we come back, we dive into some other things offensively that stood out, got better, improved against Ole Miss as the offense starting to really find itself. We'll get more into that after this.
What's up, Bama Nation? This is Rudy Griffin, former Alabama defensive lineman, and you're listening to my guy, Stephen M. Smith, in my own words, brought to you by Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Roll Tide, roll!
Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
And we're back into the action here, folks, from the break. Number one form for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of TDA. Happy to have you guys in here. Continue hitting the like button, tapping that thumbs up, showing love right there, hitting that subscribe button, making this your show, your spot, your network channel, platform, and space for all things Bama football. Appreciate you guys. But we get into topic number 2, John, of the conversation. This is other things, other aspects offensively that improved, looked good, got better against Ole Miss. Offense starting to kind of find itself more and more. And first and foremost, the offensive line. Offensive line starting to find itself. Once again, I would like to see a bit more of Terrence Ferguson and Elijah Pritchett in this rotation. Also Jaden Roberts as well. But the line's starting to find itself. The snaps were better from Seth McLaughlin. Tyler Booker, SEC Lineman of the Week. J.C. Latham played well. And this group up front helping Jace McClellan have a strong performance, helping Jalen Milroe have a strong performance. Offensive line under Eric Wolford starting to find itself in terms of that physical, dominant, gritty identity and be able to grind out a win of a 24-10 caliber against Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. So offensive line looked better there against the Rebels, starting to find itself. And our hope is that this type of energy from the second half, it carries over to the game against Mississippi State and throughout the remainder of the season. When you look at Jace McClellan, Jace looked like an NFL back against Ole Miss. You had several pro scouts at this game. Jace showing you the speed, the contact balance, the power, the vision, the cutback ability, the leg drive, all of that against Ole Miss, primarily in the second half. Once again, 17 carries, 105 yards, 1 touchdown, did average over 7 yards per carry. So against USF, it was Roydell Williams having the big show. Against Ole Miss, here is Jace McClellan showing you why he was a 4-star coming out of Aledo High School in Texas in that 2020 class. So we always knew, Jace had the talent and the ability, just had to fight off, battle through some injuries, some unfortunate moments there. And now, fully strong, fully healthy, we see what Jace McClellan can do with an offensive line that's blocking well for him. And Tommy Reese is the play caller, putting the ball in his hands. So that was something nice to see, getting the chance to watch Jace have his first 100-yard game of the season. So that was McClellan. Another thing, the tight end position. A tight end position did some more in this matchup, but want to see it involved more. You had C.J. Dupree with 2 catches. Would like to see him get more. You saw Amari Niblack with 1 catch. Would love to see him get more. Robbie Oots got involved in the passing game, and Coach Saban trusting him more to be out there in the field because of the dependability that he brings in his role. But would like to see Robbie Oots get more action. But we saw a little bit more from the tight ends, but definitely want to see them more incorporated in the pass catching aspect. We see them in the blocking game, absolutely, whether that's run blocking or staying in to help in pass protection. But I would like to see more of Robbie Oud, C.J. Dupree, Danny Lewis Jr., along with Amari Niblack in those pass catching moments, situations. But some good things there from the tight end spot. And then for me, last but not least, Jalen Hale. Could Alabama have its next breakout wide receiver? Is Jalen Hale it? Because we all remember this whole trend started 2008 with Julio Jones. Like, Julio brought something that at that time we never seen anything like him before. And then, 2012 brought us Amari Cooper, freshman 1,000-yard receiver. 2015 brought us Calvin Ridley, freshman 1,000-yard receiver, freshman All-American, that type of deal. Then 2017 brought us the trio of freshmen, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Devontae Smith, and up for 3, Devontae Smith was the one that had the 2 game-winning touchdown catches against Mississippi State, and then the bigger one, the more legendary folklore one, the 41-yard game-winning touchdown reception on 2nd and 26 from Tua Tagovailoa to beat Georgia in the national championship game. We saw how special Jalen Waddle was as a freshman in 2018. So is Jalen Hale next? Is he next? Because against Ole Miss, 2 catches, 63 yards, led the wide receiver room, 4 receiving yards, half a 33-yard touchdown grab. He's got Nick Saban, Jalen Milroe, Malachi Moore all talking about him today. Is Jalen Hale next in line? We have seen big things come from the state of Texas. When you talk, Jalen Hurts. When you talk, Jalen Waddle. I mean, now you're seeing other guys from Texas starting to sort of emerge. Kendrick Blackshire starting to, kind of emerge. Now here's Jalen Hale. Is Jalen Hale next in terms of that breakout wide receiver? Something to ponder on, something to think about, something good to notice there. But there were, there was some of the other things offensively that, stood out there in terms of your Crimson Tide. But we're going to go to our final break here on the show. When we come back from the break, we get into this Alabama defense starting to chirp. This Alabama defense catching fire. This Alabama defense turning up. We talk the defense to wrap things up after this.
What's up, Bama Nation? This is Rudy Griffin, former Alabama defensive lineman, and you're listening to my guy, Stephen M. Smith, in my own words, brought to you by Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Roll Tide, roll!
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
What's going on? This is Benny Bites. I'm the founder and owner of Touchdown Alabama, and you guys are supporting one of the only independent outlets covering Alabama football today. No other sports, no networks, just Alabama football. Roll Tide Roll.
All right, folks, we're back in the cut, wrapping things up here. Number one ticket for your Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of TDA. Happy to have you all checking us out today. All the calls, the donating, the chatting, the super chatting, making this your place for all things Bama football. But, John, we get into the final topic here of conversation, that being, we looked at the offense finding itself. The defense is on a whole nother hemisphere. I mean, these guys are cutting up. These guys are on fire, like actual fire, this Alabama defense. I mentioned this before. With the exception of the second half against Texas, and you cannot put that on the Alabama defense. They gave up just 13 points to Texas for the most part. Unfortunately, the offense was sputtering a lot, and the defense just got tired out there at the end. But this defense under Kevin Steele playing big ball here in these first, 4 games here of the season. And starting things off about what we saw from the Ole Miss matchup, how about the defensive line? We've been telling Freddie Roach this whole time, you got to get pressure on the pocket with the big men on the line. And about time that happened. I mean, Jackson Dart got lit up like a Christmas tree against Alabama. Was sacked 5 times, was knocked out of the game multiple times. But the defensive line, got to give him credit. Tim Keenan III, Birmingham native, 3 quarterback hurries. He got after Jackson Dart, flushed him out the pocket several times. Got to give Tim Keenan credit. And then Tim Smith, we've been waiting for you, son. Former 5-star, 2020 class from Florida. We've been waiting on when will this man do something. He did something over the weekend. 1.5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, got in the backfield, made his presence felt. It's about time, Tim Smith. We've been waiting on that. Defensive line did something. Freddie Roach had his group doing something, getting in the backfield, creating some type of havoc. We've been waiting on this for a minute. So to see it finally happen, can we see more of this? Coach Roach, Bama defensive line moving forward. Because when we see that happen with a defensive line, it allows my next point to go off. And that was Dallas Turner, who's cooking now. Dallas is cooking. 4.5 sacks in the last 2 weeks against Ole Miss. Was all in Dallas. Dallas Turner was all up in Jackson Dart's Kool-Aid. Dart didn't know what his own Kool-Aid flavor was because Dallas Turner was sipping it hard. Dallas Turner, 2 sacks, 2.5 sacks, 3.5 tackles for loss. I mean, Dallas was just out there tearing the man up, Jackson Dart. But Dallas Turner out there doing his thing. Chris Braswell had 1.5 sacks as well, but Dallas Turner, he's on fire. Back-to-back games. Had, 3 sacks? 2 sacks against South Florida. Now 2.5 sacks against Ole Miss. Dallas Turner cooking up right now. And another thing, even though Deontay Lawson got an injury, listen this day-to-day, the other inside linebackers, man, oh man. Jahad Campbell, 7 tackles, all solo, non-assisted. Did it all by himself. Popped Jackson Dart so bad one time, they had to get the backup quarterback on speed dial. Jahad Campbell play. That boy playing. Kendrick Blackshire had about 4 or 5 tackles in the game. Tackle for loss, quarterback hurry, had some big hits. Kendrick Blackshire was out playing ball. Tresman Marshall, the same deal. So we're seeing Jahad Campbell and others. Hey, D-Law went down. We can go out here and do this thing. We want D-Law healthy. We do. We want D-Law on that field. We do. But in the event that he's not out there, the rest of us, we can hold it down. We can hold our own. When you look at the Alabama secondary, Terrion Arnold, what a job he's done. Terrion Arnold, I mean, Ole Miss tried to pick at him. Terrion's like, okay. He leads the team in tackles with 8. Had a couple of pass breakups and a pick and an interception. Big job by Terrion Arnold. Caleb Downs had 5 tackles in the game, including some big plays and run support. Malachi Moore is showing you he can hit home on those blitzes, getting pressure. Whole secondary stepping up. Entire secondary stepping up. But it starts with that defensive line doing its thing. And very proud of a defensive line and very proud of this defense as a whole. But before we wrap things up, we got to give a shout out here to another one of our sponsors, BetterHelp. BetterHelp, who does an unbelievable job when you look at the therapy of it all and the being able to have that therapy of it all. So today's show sponsored to you and brought to you by our guys here at BetterHelp. So just talking about BetterHelp here for a moment and what they do. Sometimes in life we're faced with tough choices, right? And the path forward isn't always clear. Whether that's a quarterback having to make quick decisions in the pocket, like Jalen Milroe, or a coach dialing up a play on 3rd down, i.e. Tommy Reese, a football player is making many tough choices throughout a game. In life, that may be dealing with decisions around a career, relationships, or anything else. Therapy helps you stay connected to what you really want while you navigate life so you can move forward with confidence and excitement. Trusting yourself to make decisions that align with your values is like anything, the more you practice it, the easier it gets. Clarity is hugely important when making decisions, and that can come when talking things through with someone. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. You visit BetterHelp.com/TDA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/TDA. Again, this is sponsored to you. The show sponsored to you by our guys at BetterHelp. But as always, Bama Nation, you want the best in news, notes, information, material, entertainment. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you got the Android phone. Now for your audio needs, check us out, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio. We got you covered right there. Good and gracious Lord sees fit, I'll be back on Wednesday, continuing the conversation that is Tide football. Gotta give a shout out to all of you, the Bama fans, for all the calls, all the chats, all the conversation, the super chatting, you doing what you do to make this your show, your network, your space to talk all things Bama football. Gotta show some love to my man, John Ivory, producing this show as he does. Last but not least, gotta give a shout out to my lovely wife, Miss Mia Smith, at home checking out this show. Appreciate you, babe. You are the one that keeps this thing going. And by this thing, I'm referring to myself. But until next time, folks, husbands, love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands. Children, you guys continue doing the right thing, fun thing, good thing, legitimate thing to not be bored and get that work done, school in session here. Get yourself those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. You protect yourself. You protect the loved ones around you. Until next time, folks, I'm your man, Steven Smith, and you've been listening and watching in my own words.